Sickos Club.
Sickos Club.
Hey, come here. You like pro wrestling? We got a little something for you. Two fans, 3,000 miles away. We each been watching for more than 30 years. Celebrating the art form, the action, the homoeroticism. We ain't rating matches. We ain't analyzing stories. We ain't experts. We just sit down, shut up, and mark out! Hello, everybody. It's Blade Daily coming at you yet again with another edition of Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out, a pro wrestling podcast about pro wrestling. And as always, as usual, as mostly, I'm joined by my co-host, my bestie, my restie, my Joshi, the greatest Canadian pro wrestling podcaster in the history of pro wrestling podcasts. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. So, burning question that everyone probably wants to know. Did we get you back in the will?
Yes. I had brunch with Don last Sunday, and I explained everything to him. I told him that we made up for your lack of mentioning him.
Yeah.
On the podcast, and to listen to last week's podcast. And he did, and he was very impressed. And He said, so he added me back, but he said that if we did this again, he would remove me, and it would take a lot more to get me back on that will. So we have to work really hard on this, Blade. I can't not be on that will. I'm expecting a lot of money, a mansion, Don Callis healthcare.
Do I get anything? Just
discuss that with him next time, if you'd like.
Because I've had somebody back channel with me, kind of like implying that I might be able to get into Kenny Omega as well.
Why are you making things up?
I'm not.
What are you even talking about?
It's on the table.
Who said? You're not going to tell me? Some made up type of uncle that Kenny doesn't even have? Don Callis is actually my uncle, Blade. I just didn't want to tell anybody. I had to keep it a secret for really long because I didn't want people to think that this was all about nepotism, you know?
That you were here because you were a Nepo baby.
Yeah, you know?
Right.
And then it just became harder to hide. And now it's out there. Obviously, You see it all over my social media that I am his niece.
Right.
So...
And we should probably just let the audience in on the truth. Like, we're both Nepo babies, okay? Like, I'm the son of Ron Garvin, which would make me a Nepo baby if anybody knew who Ron Garvin was anymore, but they don't.
I don't appreciate what you're doing right now.
Telling the world our secrets.
But yours is not true.
Well, that's true.
That's hurting my feelings right now.
It's true that it's not true.
Okay, fine. But then why are you saying that you're related to somebody famous when you're not?
I just wanted to create a lore. Anyway, I'm glad you're back in the will. Did Don say anything about my performance? Like what I'm doing well as a host?
He said you're biased sometimes.
Like in his favor, right?
Well, you tend to protect the people he doesn't like a lot. I mean, like Brodido.
You mean like he loves everything about Brodido except his personality?
Exactly. And you didn't really say that last week.
Yeah.
You were just like, Brodido, praise. I love him. He's my son.
He is. Okay. So, Joshi, I think what we actually need to be honest about is our wrestle children, right?
Gosh.
Okay. So, like, my wrestle son is Brodido. I posted it on Blue Sky.
But he's my wrestle son.
No. You had your chance. Okay. So
I understand how he could even be your son.
So you have claimed your children. Speedball Mike Bailey, your son.
He is.
Daniel Garcia, your son.
He is my son. Yes.
And then you've tried to claim Brodido.
I didn't try. He is my son. We have very similar hair colors.
His mother and he have the same hair color. Like, I could easily be his wrestle dad. This is about wrestle parents. Like, I'm not saying I'm biologically Bandido's father.
Well, okay, I'm obviously freaking Bailey's biological mother.
You are?
Okay, no, I'm not. Okay, no. But I want to be Bandido's. I want to be his wrestle mom.
But that would make us his wrestle parents.
Yeah, that would be weird.
That's weird.
Can I be his aunt at least?
Sure.
All right, fine.
Sure. You can be his wrestle aunt, which is like a trademark violation because of Renee and RJ, the wrestle aunts.
What?
Yeah, like wrestle aunts. That's like an actual term that they put on T-shirts and stuff.
Like the ants that crawl around?
No, like auntie.
Whatever. I mean, I don't see how Renee could be everybody's aunt.
That's true. That's
Doesn't
true.
even make any sense, and I don't appreciate that because she's ruining my opportunity to be an aunt. So screw you, Renee.
Oh,
I actually really like Renee, but she crossed the line there.
Hey, I understand. Sometimes you got to lay claim. Same to you, RJ. Screw you too, for some reason.
Yeah, you're just mean to everybody.
You know what's not getting screwed at all?
Don Callis.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's basically the Nepo daddy of this show.
Yeah.
But what is also not getting screwed is subscribers to HBO Max because...
Wait, I'm getting screwed because I don't have HBO Max in Canada.
Okay, most people aren't getting screwed by HBO Max because if you subscribe to HBO Max, which on its own, before AEW was even on it, was a great streaming service, okay? I don't have Netflix. And I didn't have Netflix before they did the WWE shit. I just realized there's a bunch of garbage on Netflix that I don't watch, and I never watch it. So I canceled it. And it was like weird. It was like weird not to have Netflix for the first time in my entire adult life. But I quickly realized I didn't miss it. I didn't care, And I went hard with Max, okay? And then Max added AEW at the beginning of the year. And that was like, yes, okay, there's an even bigger reason for me to have Max. Well, now, if you have HBO Max, you can purchase pay-per-views at a discounted rate, $39.99. I just ordered All Out, which will be the first pay-per-view event. Please, Jesus, let this be a good experience. Please. This is a great thing for AEW because I think it makes them a lot more valuable part of WBD and a lot more valuable part of that service. If they can be profitable with it, which I don't think will be hard. AEW has a very loyal pay-per-view audience. But I think if they can be profitable, they're just like becoming a deeper part of WBD. And it's not like the NBA or something where it's just going to go out to auction, out to bid every 5 or 6 years. It's like this could be a long-lasting relationship that goes on for a very long time. What are your thoughts about it, Joshi?
I think it's awesome. I'm really happy for you Americans that get HBO Max. I mean, in Canada, this doesn't make a freaking difference.
Right.
Because we don't have HBO Max. We have Crave, which is basically... it features a lot of the HBO Max, shows and movies and whatnot, but not AEW, unfortunately. I don't know if we're ever going to get it. Fingers crossed, I will write a letter to Crave. But no, I do think that this is really awesome for AEW. I think it's going to be cheaper for fans to watch these pay-per-views, which is really great. They could probably get away with a lot more as well. I know for All Out, they've changed the start time of the show, which is really good. So probably a lot more flexibility, a lot more advertising for AEW pay-per-view. So I think it's always a good thing. I think it's always a good thing when you have a streaming platform that can showcase a wrestling promotion. And of course, if fans can save money, that's always a win. And also, yeah, like you said, obviously it makes AEW a more valuable part of WBD. So very, very positive for the company. I also think that it does explain why WWE has been so annoying and rootless with their freaking counter programming. It's gotten to a very pathetic point. I mean, I can't even, whenever I read an article now saying they're planning to counter program again, I just roll my eyes do they not see how this is perceived? I don't know. But yeah, I know that they tried to counter program All In with Goldberg's retirement match, which he didn't even like. That didn't go very well. And WWE is moving to ESPN, right? So isn't that going to cost fans a lot more money?
It's very confusing. So if you have basic cable in America, at least, you don't have to buy more. Like if you have ESPN, or like if you have an ESPN package maybe on cable, I don't know. And then there's something about Hulu. Like if you have Hulu,
okay, but
you can watch it without paying more. But you know, Hulu's not free. Hulu costs money too. So
yeah,
it's very confusing. And I hope it continues to be confusing, because I just like WWE has gone from being the evil empire to being kind of this fumbling, bumbling group of morons who just have no fucking idea. No, like, original ideas. Like, they brought AJ Lee back last night as we taped this. And look, like, if you like AJ Lee, cool. You know, for me, I only saw her career mostly in retrospect. It didn't really stand out to me in any way that I found to be that much of a revelation. But to me, WWE's already done this, guys. They've had the big returns. They've had the big debuts. They just brought back Brock Lesnar. They just had Bill Goldberg's retirement match that they used to try and just counter program AEW. And all the old Vince tactics that Levesque learned a long time ago are actually blowing up in his face, because it sounds like NBC was really pissed about the ratings for Saturday night's main event when Goldberg retired, because they didn't do very well. And so this next Saturday night's main event, the last one they're going to do, is only going to be on Peacock. It's not even going to be on TV. They also were like willing to cut the cord with WWE because they don't want to be used to counter program another network. They just want the best ratings. They want the best performance. And WWE's bullying bullshit is actually blowing up in their face. Now, here's the thing. I don't really care about the ratings that much. I know AEW had a record low rating this week. Who cares? Like, it was the end of summer. It's the beginning of school. Like, there's a million excuses we can all make. I don't give a shit. Okay? Like, if they're doing well enough to stay on TV, that's all that matters to me, right? If they can draw a crowd and have a good show, that's all that matters to me. Okay? But what I do like about this is that AEW is becoming more important to WBD. WBD is making that very clear. The AEW is a very important part of HBO Max, which is a very prestigious brand to be associated with. They're the fourth largest streaming service in the world. They're not even available in every country yet, like Canada. I did read online that they have expanded quite a bit into Europe. I think at the beginning of this year, you and I were looking around with VPNs, and they were only available in Germany. Yeah. And now they're available in Spain, Andorra, Malta, Monaco, like all those same countries that are nestled kind of close to each other. They're available in all those places now. And so what they're doing is they're waiting for their broadcasting deals to expire before they move Max into other countries. So, you know, they're in Mexico now. They're in South America now. So they will be, I'm positive they'll be in Canada at some point soon. They just have to wait for these old TV deals that they signed to expire. But anyway, I hope WWE continues to make their programming very confusing to watch and too expensive for people. Fuck them. If you support fascism, I want you to fail, and I don't like you. So as much as people say, yeah, but what about the jobs? Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's too bad. But it's also too bad that we have the WWE in bed with the Trump administration that is systematically ruining the country I live in. So fuck them. I also will say that I am like rational about this in the sense that, look, I already pay $30 a month for Max, and so getting a $10 discount on a pay-per-view, it's not like it's that much of a discount. However, I do feel the service is superior to most others, so it's still worth the money to me.
Yeah, and also I want to mention that I do think it was very smart on AEW's end to move the start time to 3 p.m. because sure, they could have just left it at 7 p.m. But the issue is that of course, more people are going to watch the WWE show. It's only normal. WWE does have the bigger fan base. Their fan base really loves nostalgia. They want to see Cena, Brock, and AJ Lee is back. So, of course, they're going to want to tune in to see these wrestlers. And so I feel, why would AEW have stuck to that time slot and risked getting lower buys? I think it was a smart move. And we got to be realistic here. Like, yeah, WWE probably would have crushed them. I don't know if it would have been as painful as a couple of years ago, but nonetheless, better to get as many people to tune in as possible, as opposed to being stuck in a position where you're gonna have to report on lower buys and WWE is gonna be really annoying and arrogant about it. And I think it was absolutely the right call. I mean, you know what? I don't care about ratings or any of that stuff, but it does matter to Tony Khan. We can't deny that. So good move. And you know what? If they're going to keep counter programming AEW, it's good for AEW to respond, don't just take it. Don't just be their sucker. That's not fair. Show them, all right, fine. You want to be really annoying and bully us all the time? We'll respond. Not a problem. We're not doing this with you.
Yeah, I saw some people who were attending the show live who were upset that it got moved. And I can understand that to a degree. However, I'm the type of person, I would not be flying out to a show the day of the show. I just wouldn't do that.
No.
I'm somebody who's I'd be there the night before, to make sure that I could have all my shit together. I'm somebody who gets everywhere early. So for me, it wouldn't have been a problem. But I can understand some misgivings, maybe if it changes your flights or it changes your plans. But you were cutting it down to the wire. What if there was a delay? What if there was,
you never know.
What if you missed a connection or something? You're leaving a lot to chance there. So if that was your issue, pick an earlier flight. But I would say, in the long run, I saw some AEW people kind of feeling miffed that AEW, quote unquote, backed down to WWE on this. Here's the thing. When it comes to money, it's rarely very intelligent to be confrontational. Okay? You have to make the smart decision. And the smart decision when there's millions of dollars on the line is make it possible for people to watch both shows. The other thing is that this isn't just a battle to get people not to watch All Out or not watch whatever the fuck WWE is doing. I don't even know what it is. It's a battle to dominate the headlines. And so if WWE puts Brock Lesnar and John Cena on and AJ Lee's return on, they think that they're going to win the headlines. They're going to steal the attention away from AEW, right? But AEW, by going earlier, is going, we're going to put on a way better fucking wrestling show than you with all your little fucking retirees being wheeled out to fight each other. Okay? And they're going to fucking hobble over, we're going to watch Brock Lesnar's gigantic fucking HGH ass fucking fight John Cena again, 10 years after their prime. And we're going to have just shown you an AEW show. So let's see whose fan base is more excited. It puts a lot more pressure on WWE. You can't just have moments the way WWE talks about them.
Right.
You got to actually put on a good show. And they're not capable of that. They're not doing that right now. Ask their fan base. They'll tell you all about it. The WWE fan base is not happy with what they're being given right now. A lot of them are very unhappy. There's always going to be those loyalists that say, well, AEW, blah, blah, blah. But they're not being praised for their programming right now. So I think AEW, actually, this was a very smart move. I do agree with the people who say they shouldn't be doing this kind of 2 weeks ahead of the show, moving the start time.
Right. Yeah.
All the time. But I really like the idea of earlier pay-per-views myself. I think it's...
Especially on a Sunday.
Yeah. It's this is going to start at noon my time. The pre-show will start at 10:30 a.m. Yeah. It'll be over at 5 p.m. my time. It'll be over at 8 p.m. your time,
Yeah.
So, fuck yeah, let's do that. I love an afternoon of just fucking big-time wrestling, Let's do that.
Well, it's something they're going to have to start considering if WWE is not going to stop doing this, right? I mean, they seem to be really adamant about this right now. It's been happening regularly. It wasn't just a one-off. They want to do it again. I think what was the pay-per-view? Was it World's End?
They already have World's End counter-programmed.
Yeah. So this is not just a one-off or anything like that. This is becoming a regular thing. So
I think they're doing that with John Cena's last match.
His last match, exactly.
Jesus.
So, I know. So the thing is that this is something to strongly consider. Move your shows, especially if they're on a Sunday, to the afternoon time slot and whatever, and just put on the best show possible. Have people talk about your show first. Unfortunately, AEW is kind of in a situation right now where they can't just not respond. They have to protect their business. They have to protect the headlines, as you say. They want their company to be talked about as well. They want really good buy rates. You can't blame them for that. It's a business at the end of the day. And you know how WWE is. If they go head to head and they freaking get these numbers that blow AEW out of the water, which I don't know. I mean, it could happen. They will be so pretentious about it. And it's just, we'll get these annoying conversations again about how, look, AEW in the mud. And it's been nice to not have to hear that crap.
The last thing I'll say is you do see why WWE has been so frantic to counter program, because if they have a direct byline into Max, they're skipping past a middleman. They no longer have Fight that they have to pay in the middle of all this. HBO and AEW can split this revenue. So I don't know if the pay-per-views through Max are part of the deal that they already have, or if that's an additional deal that they have. But this is going to make AEW and Max a lot of money. WWE wants to limit that because they don't want them to get another big extension next time. So WWE's panicking. This is all panic. Like booking John Cena's last match versus an AEW pay-per-view. You're really going to do that with one of your all-time biggest stars? That is so... I don't even like John Cena. And that's so disrespectful.
It is.
Can you imagine if they had done that with Ric Flair or Shawn Michaels or The Rock or, somebody else? Your last match, we're going to counter program Double or Nothing. Fuck you. Are you serious? So it's going to be very interesting, but this is a very interesting development that we've known is coming down the pike, and I'm excited for AEW. This is nothing but positive news for AEW. We'll see what the counter programming continues to be going forward, but I think this is them sticking their flag in the ground. WWE needs to focus on letting people know how they can watch their own pay-per-views.
Exactly.
Because now they have to pay for them, which they haven't had to pay for a long time. So they've got their own problems that they're not even addressing right now. But you know what we're going to address, Joshi G? There was some goddamn great women's wrestling, goddamn great revelations in AEW this week. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about, a thing or two that maybe, crimes. And we're going to be talking about somebody you wish would just go the fuck away. But we're going to do that after these block rockin' beats.
Blade. So on Dynamite, we got a really awesome opening match. It was Mercedes Moné versus Alex Windzaaaaa for the TBS title. And it lasted about 15 minutes. It was a very great freaking match. I have to say, Alex Windsor is up there as one of the best female wrestlers right now. What she does in the ring just really stands out. Everything looks flawless to me. She hits really hard and she knows how to counter moves very well. She's also someone that has this aura to her, she's not boring in any way. She doesn't lack any kind of charisma. She's just naturally interesting. Something about her look, something about the way she speaks, something about the way she carries herself. I think Alex Windsor has been a great addition to AEW, and she has done so much in such a short period of time. And it was really neat to see her showcase so many of her moves. I also obviously loved watching Mercedes Moné. She's incredible, one of the best in the world right now. Loved her outfit.
The CENWO.
Yeah, I love that. She should keep doing that. It works really well on her. Everything about that match worked really well for me. Of course, Mercedes won with a very impressive counter pin, and Windsor was shocked because actually there was a point in the match where they were beating each other up outside of the ring, and Alex put her in a submission hold, and Mercedes did tap out. So when I saw that, I thought, well, considering that Mercedes did tap out, of course it didn't count because it wasn't legal.
It was on the outside, right?
It was on the outside. I think we're going to get a rematch at All Out. That's where my brain went. So after the match, Mercedes was talking shit and all that. Windsor wanted to shake her hand. Mercedes walked away. Alex Windsor tackled her and was going to put her in the sharpshooter again. But Mercedes hit her in the face with the belt and put her in the statement maker. So what did you think of that match? And what did you think of Alex making Mercedes tap out? I mean, this is the second time that it's happened and that it hasn't been considered legal, right? So what are your thoughts?
Incredible match. I loved it. I love the way Mercedes is doing her character right now, which is there's a little more desperation to her because she took that loss to Tony. The loss facilitated a slight change to her character, which I think big losses should do. And too often in wrestling, they don't. They just lose and they just come back and they're the same person, right? But Mercedes knows she's not invincible now. And so that false sense of entitlement, arrogance, whatever, she's having to work extra hard to win her matches. She's winning by the skin of her teeth. She's doing, and I know a lot of people hate this person, but I'm just talking in a wrestling sense. She is basically the modern day Ric Flair right now, which is you make every one of your opponents look incredible. You take all of their moves. You make it look like they're going to come within a hair's breadth of beating you. And then you pull out a win. In his day, he would get disqualified, counted out, whatever, go to a draw. And her, in modern times, she just sneaks a win in and wins by the skin of her teeth. I loved this match because Mercedes put Windsor over so hard. She made it look like Windsor could have beaten her a million different times in this match. That's an exaggeration, obviously. But I love that Alex has just realized how fun her name is to say. And that's her rallying cry. Windzaaaaa! It kind of is the modern day equivalent of the Dudleys going, what's up? It's just like, which was stolen from a beer commercial, by the way. So Windzaaaaa, it's just fun to say. And so she leans into it really hard. There's nothing pretentious or dainty about Alex Windsor. She hits hard. She got to showcase a lot of her moveset in this match, and she's got a lot of impressive stuff. But man, that sharpshooter she puts on, some people have a shitty sharpshooter. Alex has a really good one, and she makes it look great. I like when she put it on through the ropes as well.
Oh, yeah.
And she also took a power bomb onto the apron for Mercedes in this match. Mercedes, man, she's just so good. But this match just felt very solid, fluid, and crisp. And it kicked off the show. You had the opening segment, which we'll get into later. And then this was the first match, and it was the featured match of the show, which I love.
Yeah. Alex Windsor is a very special talent. And actually, she wasn't wrestling for a while. Like, I think she had retired for a bit at some point, and she came back and just became like so freaking good. Listen, I still want Alex and Jamie to become a tag team, so keeping my fingers crossed here. But yes, like I was saying earlier, Mercedes after the match, she hit Windsor in the face with the belt to put her in the statement maker. So poor Alex was in trouble. And then my girl, Riho, her music hits. And I don't know what happened there, but I guess I couldn't hear it well. Or maybe it's because she was gone for so long. And I was like, wait, who's coming out? And then I saw Riho and I got very excited. Like whenever Riho comes back, there's that little girl inside of me that jumps up with joy. There's just something about her. Riho is adorable. She brings me a lot of joy. She always has a huge smile on her face. I love this girl. She's one of my favorites. So she comes back. She makes the save. So Mercedes isn't happy that Riho is back. runs from the ring. Riho grabs the TBS title and stares at Mercedes. So actually last year, do you remember, I Blade, when Mercedes made her AEW debut? There was a backstage segment with Mercedes and Riho where Mercedes went to say hi to her and they shook hands and Riho was all like a complete awe. I thought, oh my God, I cannot wait to get that match one day. You could tell that Mercedes is a huge Riho fan and that Riho loves Mercedes. So I am really happy that Riho is back and that it's been made official. We are getting Riho versus Mercedes at All Out. Riho has been gone for a very long time, since July 2024. She was injured for a while. She didn't wrestle in Japan or anywhere else. So basically what happened was that, from what I read, she needed some kind of surgery. It was successful, but because she had lost some weight during her recovery time, AEW didn't want to clear her yet because they wanted her to gain some weight. So I think this was like back in February. And I was wondering, man, like, when's she coming back? When she's coming back? You know, it's like, it's April now, it's May now. And now here she is. It's just such a joy to see her. I want to spend some time talking about Riho. So her abilities and the fact that she's polarizing because of her size. So the thing about Riho is that, like, yes, she's small, but she is excellent in the ring. And I think that she is one of the best female wrestlers in AEW. I have always felt that way. I can understand it being hard to suspend disbelief when she, you know, does a dragon suplex to someone really big like Nyla Rose. I get it. What I don't understand is why it's hard to believe that she could wrestle. She could actually have a good chance beating wrestlers that are similar in size or like just a little bit bigger. Like, for example, man, like Riho has had such amazing matches with Jamie Hayter. I remember their first match was excellent. She had an amazing match against Chris Statlander. She had a great match against Sheeta. She had a great match against Serena Deeb. I remember it was on the pre-show, Double or Nothing pre-show. And even Meltzer was saying how great it was. So it does, like, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Fine. The thing that kind of bothers me is when some fans will say, oh, well, she doesn't convince me because she's small. And so it doesn't look realistic. Right. But then how can you get behind somebody like AJ Lee, who is pretty much the same size and stature? Like, yeah, she has abs, but she is very small and she looks very young. So why is one believable and the other is not? That's where I have a hard time kind of accepting that, because I think it's important to be fair to everybody. And I do think that just because a wrestler is small doesn't mean that they can't be convincing in the ring. When it comes to professional wrestling, you're not always going to wrestle. Your opponents aren't always going to be wrestlers that are the same size as you. I mean, we've seen Big Show wrestle much smaller opponents. We've seen Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio. Like, you have to suspend disbelief. That's what wrestling is about. Anyway, I just want to point out, I think that she is extremely fast and agile in the ring. She is actually quite strong. And I think she's just made a lot of matches work. Like, even her matches with Nyla, I enjoy them. I thought they were a lot of fun, you know? The only thing that I feel is a bit unfortunate is that we know she's not going to beat Mercedes Moné. I mean, come on. How are you going to build this in 2 weeks? Right? And just like I was saying earlier, because it seemed like they were going with Alex Windsor, Mercedes at All Out, you know, considering that she did make Mercedes tap out. They just decided to pivot. I don't see how Riho could beat her. I wish they got more time to develop this feud and so that it would be more convincing. But it is what it is, and it is going to be an excellent match for sure. Mercedes and Riho they wrestle very similar styles, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think Riho, I love Riho. I think she's fantastic. I think she's at her best when she makes her size work for her, when she shows the advantage of being smaller, which she's done many times, you know, and I think that American audiences aren't accustomed to Joshi wrestling. I think that's a big part of it, too. A lot of Joshi wrestlers are smaller. Kenny Omega himself, I remember there was somebody who was talking shit about Riho on Twitter, and he literally said, I guarantee she can bench more than you. Like, she's a very strong person. Kenny's a huge believer in Riho. They've tagged together. They've worked together extensively. I have always enjoyed her. You know, I had told you, like, you know, the only complaint I ever had about Riho was when she was dragon suplexing Nyla. And that was just too much. That was too far. However, those matches were still great. And Riho was the more experienced wrestler in those matches, may we add. And Nyla's considerably older than Riho. You know, Rio's 28 years old. And she's been wrestling since she was like 12. So I think if you are having troubles with Riho, that could just be something she can't do anything about. You just don't believe in her, right? But I also think her trying to fit her style into a television formatted match, all of that's been a challenge, and she's been featured very infrequently. And I'm not saying that's even TK's fault, because all the Joshi wrestlers have, you know, I know with Shida, she's been back and forth between Japan and America quite a lot. I know Riho was doing that for a while, but I believe Riho is an exclusive AEW talent now. And so I just, even though I don't think she's going to beat Mercedes, and we've talked about the kind of the plug in the faucet of the women's division is that all three title holders are kind of unbeatable right now. You know, Athena just hit her 1,000 days. Somebody posted a Blue Sky thing, Waffly Bollocks, Awfully Waffly from Waffly Bollocks, a great podcast you should listen to, posted that just after Wrestle Dream, Mercedes will surpass Jade Cargill's record for days with the TBS title. Guys, Tony, why does any of this matter? Like, I don't care how many days somebody has had the title. I care about how many defenses successfully they've made, whether it's in 30 days or whether it's in 6 years or whatever. You know, days, fuck days. It sounds impressive, but if you've only defended, you know, like Jade beat a bunch of jobbers to get to 60, you know, Mercedes is going to be just a little more than half that. So who cares how many days she held the belt? You know, you push Jade super hard and then she left. That's a bummer. But who cares about Mercedes breaking this record? But it kind of makes her opponents feel like lame ducks a little bit. So I'm not sure. I don't like Windsor being used as like a bridge to get to Riho. That's a misdirection that I think kind of doesn't work as well for me. It's a swerve for the sake of a swerve. And I thought the story was with Windsor. But I love Riho. It's going to be a great match. I think Tony needs to like get away from it's going to be a great match as being the reason enough to do a match. Like, I want to believe that either person could win. And for the most part, AEW does a great job of making me believe that. In this case, not so much. But that said, Riho's a great wrestler. I'm excited that she's back, and I hope she's featured a lot more in AEW after this.
And she's also very over with the crowd. I mean, whenever she comes back, she gets a pretty thunderous reaction from them. They chant Riho. They like her.
You remember on, I will say for X, they did call her the real tribal chief for a long time because her segment on Rampage beat a segment with Roman Reigns in it when they had to move it to Fox Sports SmackDown to Fox Sports one night. Rampage actually beat SmackDown in the demo or something, and Rio's segment had the highest demo rating, and people have called her the real tribal chief ever since. So, you know, who knows? Maybe she becomes the TBS champion and she ends up setting the record for the most defenses in days. Who knows? I think it's unlikely, but we're going to hit some music. And when we come back, AEW started Dynamite off right this week, and it was with crimes. And we're going to talk about those crimes when we return.
If you want to look sexy as fuck, go to sickosclub.com/merch and get you some.
All right. Well, Dynamite kicked off this week in the best way. We're in ECW Arena, so what do? We kick it off with crimes. Gabe Kidd started talking before he was supposed to and started talking over Excalibur on the mic. And then somebody told him to shut the fuck up for a minute. And then he started talking again. And he basically said, Darby Allin, fuck you. I'm here to take you down. You ain't shit. You want to get into it? Let's get into it. And Darby attacked him from behind. But it wasn't long before Gabe and Darby were tussling and turning and grappling and then not grappling and just throwing fisticuffs like ruffians, the real ruffians, the scallywags that they are. And then the rest of the Death Riders come out and they start attacking Darby. And Jon Moxley attacks Darby. I thought John is a very unselfish performer, okay? Darby is so much smaller than him. But he has to attack Darby from behind. He plays into this. He's being a true heel. He's a coward. He doesn't really have confidence in himself after the Hangman thing. So he's attacking Darby from behind. He needs his whole gang to attack Darby. But whose music should hit? But Hook's music should hit. The Hook signal goes up. It looked really cool in the ECW Arena, by the way, when they turn out the lights and the Hook signal goes up. I love his entrance music. Some people don't, but I do. I love that song. And I think people just need to get used to it. They just don't know that that's his music when it first hits yet. And sometimes AEW will start a song from the beginning when somebody first starts using it, and then they'll find a better spot to start it from later. Like Kenny's music. Like the very beginning of that song is very mellow. And like when at the first Double or Nothing, they started it from the very beginning. And it was kind of like hard to understand at first because they didn't give him a super long entrance. But now they just start it from where it picks up. And I think they can do that for Hook too. So we'll see. But Hook comes out and he's back to having awesome hair again, by the way. Like I love Hook's messy hairdo. For a while there, he just looked like a nice kid. And that's not Hook. Hook, we don't want you to look nice. We want you to look like a messy bitch. We like that. Then all of a sudden, some familiar music hits that I couldn't recognize at first. And fucking Samoa Joe and Will Hobbs run right past Hook. And they get in the ring. They start beating up on the Death Riders. They start beating up on Yuta. They start beating up on Claudio. And Gabe Kidd and Darby have fought to the back while all this is going on. And Willow. I didn't even see Willow come out, but she's out there. She's beating up Marina. Love it. Love it. You know, you see the ins for Willow and Stat to like have their big whatever's maybe going to happen someday over the Death Riders. And then you cut to the back and Darby and Gabe are fighting. Gabe gets the upper hand. He puts Darby on some kind of lift, some kind of forklift and is going to do something to him. But Darby escapes and runs to a truck that's conveniently positioned backstage. And Gabe goes to chase him and Darby throws some kind of dust or powder or cocaine in Gabe's eyes. And Gabe's like, no, I'm blind. And then Darby fucking hits him with like a hammer or like a wrench or something. And Gabe's like knocked out for a minute. And Darby puts his ass in a body bag that he straps to the back of this truck. And then he drives the truck away with Gabe going, what? No. Oh, shit. And so basically Darby just murdered Gabe Kidd. I mean, that would kill a man. Am I correct?
Yeah, of course. That was the very first thing that happened on the show.
That was the very first thing. Gabe Kidd was murdered at the very beginning of
At
Dynamite.
the very beginning.
We witnessed a murder on television.
I did like the Gabe Kidd and Darby stuff. It's been a treat to see Gabe Kidd used so frequently in AEW. I like him a lot. He's very good on the mic. He has a very potty mouth and he's a badass. It's hard not to like Gabe Kidd. However, when it comes to the Death Riders in general,
you love them.
I'm tuning out. So my hope was that we would get Darby versus Moxley at All Out, and this would end the whole Death Rider storyline. And this faction do something new. I'm not so sure anymore. And starting to worry that this is going to last for a while. Not too keen on that. I've noticed that they've been trying to recruit new members. Anyways, that's what it seems like to me. Danny, Stat. My hope is that Danny and Stat actually help Darby beat the Death Riders. instead of joining them. So look, I've it's been a year. I think I've been very fair. I've tried to be patient, but Joshi G is losing interest. Joshi G is losing interest.
I think it's fair to say that they've definitely lost some steam since Jon Moxley lost the title to Hangman, right? Like, there's no way to put that genie back in the bottle. Like, they've petered out, and that's to be expected, right? And so I've always thought the plan was to end the Death Riders sometime at the hands of Darby, sometime after Mox lost the title. Now, they are building to that match. And yes. I think Darby and Mox are going to have some kind of giant, horrible, disgusting match. And I think Darby is still saying he wants to take everything from Mox. So what I'm seeing is, because we run into trouble when we fantasy book ourselves too much and we believe our own theories too much, right? So I think Tony might be trying to insert some doubt with the Statlander and Garcia thing, and I hope that's what it is. I do, because I don't really see how the Death Riders carry on after Darby. That's just how, Right. At some point, there needs to be a fallout where people have to start dealing with what they've done. There is obvious paths for Claudio and Yuta and Marina and Moxley to travel after the breakup of the Death Riders, or after Mox is kicked out, or whatever's going to happen. Like, I think Darby is going to beat Mox. I think Mox wants to put Darby over, and you can trace that all the way back to when he stole his title shot after beating him at Grand Slam, right? Darby's been part of this since the very beginning. And so I've always thought that Darby would play a hand in ending the Death Riders. I agree with you. I don't think there's a ton more juice left in this. I don't think I'm as burnt out on it as you are, but I do think the idea of them recruiting more people to it, I don't know that I love that.
It's too late. Yeah,
it feels too late. It's
too late. If they would have done it like back in January, not now.
Yeah. And I agree with you on that. Like, I think it's too late to like really revive the Death Riders, especially with Mox still there. Like,
yeah,
they could be used as a way to like write Mox off for a while. And I'm willing to entertain the possibility that it could continue, I guess. But like, I don't really know what's left for them to do without Mox either. So I hope it's coming to an end. But Joshi, I'm gonna wager something here. I think you have an ulterior motive here.
Why?
What were we talking about at the beginning of this show?
Don putting me back on the wheel.
Yeah, Don putting you back in the wheel, and you being very pro DCF.
Well, I am.
So am I. I mean, let's be real. I am too.
What the hell, man? Why wouldn't I be?
Don is the biggest star in all of AEW, right?
Obviously.
It's only right that he should get all this more screen time than stupid Jon Moxley, whatever, 4-time AEW champion, right? Like, stupid John, who cares? Like, get out of here. You want the DCF to be the big bad.
Of course I do.
What if they destroyed the Death Riders?
I would be so happy. I would get on freaking social media and sing a song for everybody, and you would all hate it because I don't know how to sing. But you could laugh at me.
We've sang together before.
We have. That's true. But I needed your vocals. It's just that, man. Okay, and let's be real here, iBlade. It's not like Don Callis' family always worked. They just finally, okay, so it's not like, my God, like Don Callis' family from the beginning, they should have been the big bad. No, it's really this version of the Don Callis family that has become so credible. And right now, hell yeah, of course I want to see these guys take over. I mean, you've got Okada, you've got Fletcher, you've got Lance Archer, you've got Takeshita for now. And so many others. And of course, and then you have Don, who is just so entertaining and an amazing heel. He generates the most heat in the freaking company. Let's be honest. That's the kind of faction I want to see. The thing with the Death Riders. So let's say, and like, no offense to Yuta, Claudio, and Marina, but let's say they decide, okay, you know what? we're going to take Moxley out of the equation, and it's going to be them three, and they're going to recruit. Boring. Sorry, but it's true. Without Moxley, you can't continue this faction. I'm just saying it. I'm being real here. Come on, man.
You know what? When you put it like that, I have to agree. I don't think you can continue it without Moxley. Like, I don't. So, like, if I were to do it, and this is just me just throwing shit at the wall, okay? Like, I'm not the booker. I will say that a lot of my booking ideas that I have shared on this show over the last year, Tony Khan has far surpassed what I was going to do, what I would choose, right? So he's missed a few times, but not in the big ways. So I do have more faith in Tony than maybe I did this time last year, you know? But Claudio is not a standalone promo guy, you know?
Bam.
Yuta is a very valuable, slightly upper card, mid card guy. Like, I think he has a story that can be told where he either does what's right to turn against Moxley, and maybe Statlander is a part of like turning him babyface. I think there's potential for Yuta, and I think he's a ways off still. And I think for Marina, quite honestly, this is the most over she's ever been. I think I almost like her better as muscle more than I do as like the idea of her going back to being a wrestler. And that's not a diss on her. Some people are better television wrestlers than others, and some people's styles transfer to television better than others. I've seen Marina wrestle in the indies, and she's actually become a fucking fantastic wrestler, but that wasn't a television match. Trying to fit into 7 or 8 minutes, you know, her style doesn't always transfer that same way. Somebody brought up the idea of putting her back with Nyla, and I don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't think it would work anymore. Nyla's too goofy.
Yeah, that is true.
And you can't, after this, Marina can't be goofy. Like,
no.
I think that's the end of her run if you do that. I think put her with another male that needs like protection. Put her with Mother Wayne. Put her with, you know, somebody who needs to be guarded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's something else for Marina as well. You know, I would love to see her be the reason the Death Riders end. I want to see her put the bag on Jon Moxley because she's the ultimate hard ass. And I think like her being tougher than Mox in a way would be the most appropriate way to end the Death Riders. And I just want that for her because I respect her so much as a performer. But yeah, when you put it like that, you know, how the fuck is Marina and Yuta and Claudio going to lead the Death Riders? It's done once Mox is out. You're right. Like, yeah, I'm trying to be open-minded. Like, if you're going to make Garcia the focus, because like Garcia, the last couple of weeks since he's been giving these really passionate promos, I'm like, that's the guy that's been missing. There you go. Yeah. If Stab was going to show a different side of herself and go super dark, maybe. You know, maybe there's potential in that. But you're right. There's no way to move forward once that's over.
But see, I'm reluctant when it comes to turning Stat heel again after what they did last year. They really dropped the ball. And I'm not ready to see it happen again, especially if it's going to be done poorly. And, you know, like right now, she's having fun with Harley Cameron. We're enjoying their little tag team. And eventually she'll be with Willow again. So I don't want Stat to turn heel right now. I don't. You know, in the future, if they actually decide to stick to it and have a plan for her, fine. But last year, they just botched it so badly.
They did.
That I can't get into it a year later now. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, I just haven't been a fan of the amount of standing around Stat's had to do this year.
Yeah,
where
come
it's
on,
just
man.
been her and Harley have been hilarious.
They're really good together.
Really,
Seriously.
really funny. Oh my God. It's been so good. And, you know, is Orange Cassidy going to play a role in any of this? Because he is cleared, as I understand it. So
I think he'll be involved. Yes.
I almost wonder if my friend that they're referring to, our friend that they were talking about, like where Stats, it seems like they're talking about Mox. I almost wonder if it's like, could it be Orange Cassidy?
I hope
could it
so.
be like a massive swerve?
I hope
where
so.
they all turn on Mox and like somehow that's just talking out of my ass. I have no fucking idea, but
it's a possibility.
It would be poetic for Orange Cassidy to have some role in it. because him and Darby were both part of how it started. So lots to ponder there, lots to think about. Orange and Mox have a long history now. I'm not convinced that the all-out match will be the end, but I think by Wrestle Dream, Mox and Darby should be done. I think there could be 2 matches.
Yes.
As I said, like I will grant Tony Khan the grace to, roll with this through that time before I start getting too done with it myself. But I hear where you're at. I do hear where you're at. And both are valid. This is just what we like and what we don't like, folks. It's just goddamn wrestling. But quick hits for AEW this week. AEW, we criticize, but come on. This is great shit, okay?
For sure, of course.
It's the best wrestling in the world right now. And we are very fortunate to have it. And we had, even 2 guys we were just critical of. Claudio and Wheeler Yuta had a fucking banger tag match with Brodido this week. How much are you loving Brodido?
A lot.
It's incredible.
Immensely.
Bandito is must-see television right now.
Hell yeah. Yes.
And this motherfucker did the Macarena in the ring. And then Brody, I love the way Brody's like, nope, not doing that. How could anybody not be in love with this man?
I know.
He is.
There's something wrong with you if you don't like Bandito.
If you don't like Bandito and you don't want to see him at the top of the card, I don't know what to say. Like him and Takeshita, and even Brody at some point.
Yeah, of course, man. Brody rules.
Jesus Christ, these guys are like they're killing it. They are killing it. Claudio and Yuta were great opponents. So, Brodido get their first tag title defense, and it was great. Great match. Highly recommended. We had an 8-man tag to close, which was epic and amazing given the participants, which was Josh Alexander, Kyle Fletcher, the Bucks, versus Jet Speed, Kenny, and Hanger. And Kenny and Hanger laying it on kind of thick. They are really loving on each other in front of the camera these days. I am loving it. Still no kiss, slight bummer, but
I know.
They can make up for it. There's still plenty of time for them to kiss. So, we got to see the what is that? The buck trigger or whatever that is. The V trigger with the buckshot.
Yeah.
And we got to see Jet Speed and the Bucks tie it up, which I really, really want to see that feud. I would love to see a feud with Jet Speed and the Bucks.
Me too.
Like a non-title feud for the Bucks with Jet Speed would be awesome. Especially now that the Hurt Syndicate is kind of removed from the tag titles. So, really enjoyed the match. Great match. And at the end of the match, the Don Callis family murdered Kenny again. Kenny was stretchered out again. Why do they keep doing this to Kenneth?
I don't know, but it's been happening every single month. I don't know.
They just did a stretcher job
like a month ago.
2 months ago, at least.
Okay, well, fine. Come on, Blade. Still, it's too regularly. And I don't understand. Is Kenny Omega a Kenny South Park parody now? He's just going to keep getting killed off and come back? Because every time they take Kenny out, Don and whoever killed him, so in this case it was Fletcher, will say, oh, I killed him. I killed Kenny. So it's really starting to feel like South Park Kenny to me. But yeah, listen, I get it. He needs time off for his medical appointments and whatnot. But does it always have to happen this way? Can't we think of any other ways to write Kenny off? Always a stretcher. It's just repetitive. Maybe he just has a thing for stretchers that we don't know about. Yeah.
Maybe, he's got a little stretcher fetish.
Yeah, maybe some weird fetish. Can't wait to get on that stretcher again.
Yeah. I know for sure Okada and him, that was definitely Kenny's idea. Like the blood and stuff. Yeah. Like, Kenny just wanted to go do the blood. But yeah, this did feel a little excessive to me and a little repetitive. And I gotta say, I think we might be overdoing these multi-person tag matches. When they first started, it was like, wow, it's been a long time since they've done these super epic tag matches. And then they just do them every Dynamite.
Like every week.
And every Collision. There's,
it's true.
There's another multi-woman tag match tonight. Look, I get that you want to keep people on the show, and I get that, but mix it up who it is at least. You know, like the Bucks have been in how many of these? You know, Osprey had been in how many of these before he got written
counting.
off?
Yeah. I can't keep track anymore.
You know, I don't want to be like super negative, but I do enjoy the matches, but I would like a little more like anything could happen feel to Dynamite. It makes me wonder, are they trying to save the pay-per-view quality singles matches for pay-per-views more because they have more of them?
Maybe.
Is that part of it? You still got to do them sometimes, though. Like, you did give us Windzaaaaa and Mercedes, so I'm not complaining too much. But, you know, the, like, $100,000 multi-person, you know, match or whatever, I think we've exhausted that to a certain degree. This was the summer of the people getting rich on these multi-person.
It's true. Every freaking week on both shows. You're absolutely right.
And if you're hearing a little more criticism lately from us, I also think we have to be real like we do and the listener does. This is post All In, where they climaxed all of their biggest stories at one time. And they're just starting to build up stories very small. And you know AEW takes their time. So it has felt like kind of a revolving door of like, what's going on with this person? What's going on with this person? Is this happening? Is this happening? We just don't know because there isn't that big story centering everything right now. And so for a minute there it was MJF and Hangman, you know, for a minute there it was Tony and Athena. And both those stories are either over or on hold or whatever. And so I know that's part of it. And so like it will pick up. We know that. But we're just kind of in a holding pattern. And I don't know that that's the greatest thing before your first pay-per-view on HBO Max. You know what I mean?
We do have to say something very positive, I believe. The Don Callis family, they stood tall at the end of the show, and that's exactly what we wanted to see. The big, bad Don Callis family taking over, killing everybody. Thank you. This is interesting. I freaking love it. So I'm so happy that they're the next big threat now. This needed to happen. And we could also talk about All Out and how the card's looking so far, I Blade.
Yeah.
We've got Adam Copeland and Christian Cage versus FTR. So Cash in Dax with Stokely, of course. So that match has been made official.
Yep.
The Hurt Syndicate, Lashley, Benjamin, and MVP versus Ricochet and Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Toa Leona. And then we've got Mercedes versus Riho for the TBS title. So those three matches have been made official.
Those are the only official matches so far. And we got 2 weeks. 2 weeks. No world title match for the men. No world title match for the women.
Nope, not yet.
No trios match for the trios title. I do think they are building to a Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe TNT title match.
I don't know if I see him beating Takeshita tonight.
I think maybe Okada fucks Takeshita over somehow in this match. And what people will know by the time they're listening to this. So I am not comfortable predicting anything because Takeshita by all rights should beat Briscoe in a straight up match. Like, yeah. I don't want anybody beating Takeshita in a straight up match. But do we lay the seeds for this face turn with Takeshita tonight? Is that where it starts? Because I guarantee you when Takeshita turns face, the crowd's going to go fucking apeshit. But make Bandito and Takeshita your next rising stars. Like, period. You know? I
do have another possible theory. What if MJF cost Briscoe the match?
There is that. However, Collision's live tonight, and MJF got married last night.
That's true. Yeah, he's busy on his honeymoon. You're right.
Yeah. May not happen that way. Does Wardlow
may not happen that way.
Get involved? Does, you know, I mean, we haven't seen him since Forbidden Door. So could be a lot of things, right? I don't see them teasing Fletcher and Briscoe so much if it's not going to happen. It is a match we've seen 4 times, though. And so, you know, it will be great. They've never had a bad match. All of them have been good. And every time I think I've seen it enough, they have a great match. So I'm not going to complain if that's what we get. Don't want my man Takeshita taking an L, to be honest. But
neither do I.
Darby versus Mox is also clearly in the cards for All In. Darby has already, or All Out, Darby has made it his intention to, you know, in that first promo after Forbidden Door, he spelled All In or All Out on this, you know, canvas. So I think, you know, those matches will both happen, which gives you 5 matches. Very surprised that I don't see a Hangman opponent yet. No, some people were saying Josh Alexander. I can't go there. Like, there isn't enough time to make him a credible threat. You know, why would he deserve a world title shot? With or without rankings, he just hasn't won enough.
Agreed.
You know, I don't know who else in the Callis family would challenge him. Is Okada going to wrestle? You know, there's a lot of questions still. We're 2 weeks out. It's going to be a short build, but I'm sure it'll be a great card. All in all, it was a fun week of AEW. What we've seen so far, Collisions tonight. We'll be back next week talking all about it. And we'll know, I would assume we'll know a lot more about what's going to happen at All Out next week. But until then, I do want to encourage everybody, tune in to The Hard Way with Brett Michelle. We've recently added a third co-host, Professor Degree. This last week, we talked all about Super Brawl 2. Joshi, have you ever seen that show?
No, I haven't.
It's the first American appearance of Jushin Thunder Liger.
Oh.
Tim and Brian Pillman in a match that became legendary. Lex Luger wrestles Sting in his last WCW match. He gets blown up after 4 minutes and is desperately trying to catch his breath for the rest of the match. And Ricky Steamboat and Rick Rude have an amazing match in which a ninja turns against his very best friend. So make sure you go check that out. Next week, we're going to be talking about Bad Blood on that podcast. I'm also going to be doing promos for Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out on The Hard Way from now on. Damn it, because we want you to hear these shows. We make them. We want your feedback. Thank you to everybody whether you have a criticism, whether you have positive reinforcement, we love it all. We love engaging with you guys. Find us on social media. Find us on YouTube. Till then, I'm Blade Daly.
I'm Joshi G.
Grow Wrestling forever.
Oh, shit.
Well, it's a good fucking thing we didn't finish editing before Collision, because it really just showed what a fucking moron Blade is. This motherfucker cannot accurately predict the color of his own piss, much less the booking of AEW. So we get a 10 out of 10 episode of Collision, insane matches and story beats. Mox versus Darby is going to be a coffin match that will probably be unnecessarily dangerous and awesome. Kyle Fletcher's challenging Hanger to a men's world title match, so Blade's little, oh, he can't do that because he's going to have to face Mark Briscoe, was fucking stupid. Tony Storm is going to face Jamie Goddamn Hater, Chris Statlander, and Tekla in a 4-way match for the women's world title, which is literally going to impregnate the entire global audience. And Mark Briscoe ain't facing Kyle Fletcher because MJF did show up and cost him the match versus Takeshita the day after his wedding. And those two wild-ass mother huggers are going to have some kind of crazy-ass stipulation match, and Takeshita is teasing a babyface turn. So in one episode of Collision, All Out is looking like another all-timer. Joshi G was right, Blade was wrong, but that's nothing new at all. Goodbye.
Sickos
Sickos Club.
Sickos Club.